Hello, I'm going to read you this story today. This is my favourite story of all time. I love this story. And this book was bought for me for my birthday this year. So you're never too old to have a new storybook, are you? Because my copy of this is so red now and worn that I got a new copy. And it's written by Jill Murphy, which is also very lucky because I teach in Murphy class normally, don't I? So this is one of my favourite stories, and it's called On the Way Home, and it's about this little girl here and all of her adventures on her way home. I'm not sure if they're real adventures. You can decide that as we go through. So let's have a quick look at the blurb. On the back, look, there's a dragon as well. So we've got all sorts of creatures and things, haven't we? And it says, on the way home, with a bad knee to show her mum, Claire tells her friends how it happened. But just how did it happen? Have a look. Claire had a bad knee, so she set off home to tell her mum all about it. On the way home, Claire met her friend Abigail. "Look at my bad knee," said Claire. "How did you do it?" asked Abigail. "Well," said Claire, "there was a very big bad wolf, and it came sneaking up behind me as I passed by, and it tried to take me home, but I screamed, and a woodcutter came and chased the wolf away, and the wolf dropped me, and that's how I got my bad knee." "Gosh," said Abigail. Then Claire met her friend Paul. "Look at my bad knee," said Claire. "How did you do it?" asked Paul. "Well," said Claire, "there was a vast flying saucer, and it came zooming out of the sky, and it tried to carry me off to a distant planet, but I struggled free just in time and fell crashing to the earth far below. And that's how I got my bad knee." "Good gracious me," gasped Paul. Then Claire met her friend Amarjit. "Look at my bad knee," said Claire. "How did you do it?" asked Amarjit. "Well," said Claire, "there was a huge, hungry crocodile, and it came lumbering out of the canal as I passed by, and it tried to pull me into the water, but I crammed a piece of wood into its mouth between its jaws, and it was so cross that it knocked me over with its tail, and that's how I got my bad knee." "How dreadful," said Amarjit. Then Claire met her friend Robert. "Look at my bad knee," said Claire. "How did you do it?" asked Robert. "Well," said Claire, "there was a big, fat snake, and it came slithering out of the tree, and it wrapped itself around me, and it squeezed, and it squashed. But I tickled it until it couldn't stop laughing, and it dropped me, and that's how I got my bad knee." "I say," gasped Robert. Then Claire met her friend Samantha. "Look at my bad knee," said Claire. "How did you do it?" asked Samantha. "Well," said Claire, "there was an enormous dragon, and it came soaring out of the clouds, and it picked me up with its claws, but I gave it such a big kick that it dropped me, and I fell for miles and miles through the air, and that's how I got my bad knee." "Caw," said Samantha. Then Claire met her friend Nick. "Look at my bad knee," said Claire. "How did you do it?" asked Nick. "Well," said Claire, "there was a great, hairy gorilla, and it came creeping out of the garage as I passed by, and it tried to drag me away, but I stamped on his toe so hard that it let me fall on the ground with a bump, and that's how I got my bad knee, and I didn't cry." "Crumbs," said Nick. Then Claire met her friend Celia. "Look at my bad knee," said Claire. did you do it? Asked Celia. Well, said Claire, there was a gigantic giant, and he came stamping through the houses, and he picked me up and he said, Fee-fi-fo-fum, a tasty girl for my hungry tum. But I punched him on the nose so hard that he let me fall, and that's how I got my bad knee. Well, I never, exclaimed Celia. Then Claire met her friend Jonathan. Look at my bad knee, said Claire. How did you do it? Asked Jonathan. Well, said Claire, there was a ghastly ghost, and it came gliding out of the gloomy graveyard as I passed by, and it went, ooh! But I ran away so fast that I left it behind. But then I tripped over, and that's how I got my bad knee. Wow, said Jonathan. Then Claire met her friend Hannah. Look at my bad knee, said Claire. How did you do it? Asked Hannah. Well, said Claire, there was a wicked old witch, and she came swooping down from the rooftops, and she bundled me into her shopping bag. But I broke the bag with my feet, and I dived out onto the hard pavement, and that's how I got my bad knee. Dear me, exclaimed Hannah. Claire arrived home, and her mum came out. Look at my bad knee, said Claire. Oh, how did you do it? Asked her mum. Well, said Claire, I was in the playground, and I was having such a nice time on the swing when suddenly, I fell off. Claire burst into tears. Never mind, said her mum. Come inside and we'll put a plaster on it. A very big plaster? Asked Claire. The biggest in the whole box, said her mum. There it is, look. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. See you again soon.